Hi everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You can see me either at stampmesilly.com, which is my blog, if you're looking at this on YouTube. You can email me at jandufour@yahoo.com. You can order any of these supplies at my online store at jandufour.stampinup.net. Today, I'm showing you something that is in our brand new catalog, which I can't open and show you. I can only show you things that I made. This becomes effective May 3rd. So if there's anything in the old catalog that you want, you need to get it by May 2nd. So I'm going to put that aside for now. What we're making today is something I designed for my sister, who has a business making little coasters. She does them in sets. They're very cute. I'm mailing her this one because it's one I saw that's a little bit different. But she wanted something to package them in so that she could mail them. So she decided she wanted, I'm going to put those aside, a 5x7 pouch, if you will. And then she can tuck that in a 5x7 envelope and mail that if she's actually having to mail it or just deliver it in the pouch that she's going to make. The name of this set is called Cup of Tea. There's 2 teacups, there's little tags. There's some little tiny ones that go into these 2 tiny little tags, and a couple that will fit in this one. And then there's a lemon or a lime, I guess, or an orange if you wanted to make it that way. Some flowers to go over on the top of this if you so desire. We're gonna do a thank you because if she was purchasing this from someone, that's what she would want to put on, or selling it to someone, that's what she'd want to put on there. So I'm gonna set this aside. These are the die cuts. There's 17 of them. It's just easier if I punch them out and show you what they actually look like. All of this is one. All of this is another. It's nice that they add a couple of things so you can punch things out all at the same time. So I'm going to set this aside right now and show you what I've made. So I started off with making something very simple. It uses 2 colors of ink, one stamp set, and a little bit of ribbon. There's no pouch that shows through, but it has a flap in the back, and you can place anything inside it, like this. Yeah, there you go. So I'm not going to show you how I did these because I'll show you the more not difficult one, the more they call for avid. There's more supplies involved. Like I said, this one's 1 stamp set, 2 colors. You could actually make it all 1 color if you only had 1. There's no coloring in it. It just says simply thank you. I did create a way to close it on another one, so I'll put that aside. This one stepped up a little bit. There's 3 colors. I did, if you'll notice, color in these leaves, and I did it by simply taking a blender pen. You could also use a paintbrush with a little bit of water on it, but this is not watercolor paper, so both with the blending brush and the watercolor paper, you have to be a little bit cautious about, you cannot continually rub and rub and rub, or you'll break down the fibers. But you can use shimmery white paper if you wanted to do this very thing and be able to color on it. But it does take the ability to color a little bit. And all I'm doing is lifting the ink that's on the flower and pulling it into, so it adds a little bit of color. Then I used a tag puncher, and you say, did I use 2 different ones? And the answer is no. At the end of the video, I will show you how I did this as well. But obviously, I got the white one from here. I just made it smaller and then punched it out. These are using 2 of our new in colors, Sweet Sorbet and Tahitian Tide. I'm trying to learn them. And then I use Soft Succulent on this. All of the instructions will be below the video, including all of the measurements when I post it. Put that one aside. This one stepped up a little bit, but it's really probably just as fast as that other one I just did. What I did was I made the little pouch without the backing. I separated them. The first time I made this one, I made it all in one. I punched it before I put together, but it's a punch. I can't put this, oops, I can't put this in my die cut machine if it's open and all one piece. So I ended up designing it by still one piece of cardstock, but then you glue on the back to it. So you can actually punch out using the teacup die, which is somewhere not too far from here, which I'll show you how to do. You punch out both the white one and this one, and it actually gives you two. I will show you, because you don't put glue in the middle. So when you put glue down on the designer series paper, again, I'll give you measurements, you just glue around the outside. So when you cut it, you get a white one, and you get either this one or this one. So you could in fact use it on your next card. So you could just keep perpetuating from this teacup to the next card. And if you're using this particular designer series paper, which I will show you what it looks like, it's lots of pages of 6 by 6. So again, this is the same. Now this is done with a Velcro dot if you wanted to be able to make it, if you were giving it away and you didn't want them getting into it. This one I did with a magnet. It just closes. I probably wouldn't use magnet on this. I use them on my boxes because that does make a difference as far as the hold capability. But this is fine. And actually, if you really didn't want to do anything like that, you could just make sure that the ribbon stayed up above. Oh, I've got it glued down with the front, so I can't do that. But you could just make sure that the ribbon was up at the top. And I put my sister's company name on the tag because I don't have a copy of her little tag. So, but the way they work with the opening is when you open it and you slide these in, you can, oops, you can actually see them through, which is kind of cool. So it's showing what's inside. And then it does fit in a 5 by 7 envelope. Stampin' Up! Does not sell 5 by 7 envelopes, so you'll have to purchase those elsewhere. They're available just about anywhere. Amazon has them, and box stores do as well. I'm going to take these back out. Again, at the end, I'm going to show you several tricks on how to, cut this out, how to put, this is the DSP we're using this time, and this is the back side of this. So again, I'm just, oh, I lied, that that's a different one. So this was a different color, and it was already glued together because that's what I had done previously while I was designing. Okay, so let's put this all aside. I'm gonna bring out the template, which will be on my website. This is an 11 by 8.5, so it's one full card sheet. I will highlight, the first thing you do is cut this at 6 1/4. No, I lied. 5, 6, 6 1/4, yeah. And then you take this piece and cut it down, and it'll be 6 3/4 this way and 4 3/4 that way. So you're gonna end up with 2 sheets. So let me show you that first. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut this, which is 4 3/4, because that's the easiest one to do. Because the other measurement over here is going to be 6 1/4, and although it's very well marked, it's right there, it's just a little bit easier to see, especially when you're doing this sideways, which I'm having to look at an angle. So so I cut it 4 3/4, and again, that's just this on the template. Then this measurement is going to be 6 3/4. So we're going to put that in here. And this is a scrap that you can use for sentiments. This is now the back, so I'm going to put that aside for now. This is this piece right here. So I need to make some score lines along the long edge at this point. It was actually the 8.5 side, but and this was actually 11, so that was the long edge, but it's not anymore. So on this side, I need to score it at 1 inch. On this side, I need to score it at 1/4 of an inch. When you're doing things that are less than 1.5 inches, it's better if you use this side if you have the Stampin' Up, because it gives you more surface to be up against there. So the first score line, and make sure you get rid of your blade or you'll cut it. Ask me how I know that's the same, but I can tell you how I know because I've done it more than once. So there's my first scar. I'm just gonna flip it around and do 1/4 of an inch. Now, that makes these two. So now I need the top. So again, when it's less than 1.5 inches, this is scored at 1 inch. I'm gonna put that there. And the bottom is 3/4 of an inch. And we have that completely scored. Now, I'm gonna put this cutter aside since I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna burnish, fold and burnish, which is something you should always do with your lines. Fold it down. These are the sides. My paper's sliding around. I did not tape it down this time. Bad job. All right. So essentially, we have this. Now you'll notice the black is cut out. There's two things to notice, and you can do it however you're most comfortable with. First, if you want to cut out all of the corners going straight, by just doing this. And I go, with this particular thing, sometimes it matters, but most of the time it does not. I'm just going straight up the middle of the score line. And I'm cutting out the corners. When you get more comfortable doing it, you can do the notches at the same time. And I'll explain what notches are in just a moment. It's just a way to make less bulk in the corners. And it just makes it easier on the folding and the glue holding and all of that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm putting it back the way it is. If you did this wrong, nobody would die. It would not be an urgent or, oh my gosh, what a terrible thing. But essentially what I'm trying to do is keep, this is the top, the larger size, is keep this straight. Everything else I want notched because it will make it easier in the gluing process. And I have that showing by having a little diamond there. So I want this, and it's not a lot, it's just a little piece. And I'm gonna do that on both side flaps. So this is one side, and this is the other side. And then I'm gonna do it on the bottom. And again, I'm not cutting out a whole lot. It's just a little piece. And I'm leaving the top alone. Let me clear this off. So now I essentially have this done. So I can put my template away, get it out of our way, put this aside. Now, I want to put the designer series paper on here. And this designer series paper is 4 1/4 by 6. So it comes 6 by 6. So you end up with a little stripe different one, obviously, but a little stripe of it on the side, which you can use for decorating a card later on. And again, as I said, when we put the glue on, we just want to put it on the outer edges. This is DSP. It's thinner paper than cardstock. It's not going anywhere, and it doesn't really require a whole bunch of adhesive, if you will. And by doing that, I am passing on my coffee or my teacup that I'm making, and being able to use it as I reach for I buried it under all these pretty things. Here we go. Again, these are the dies. I can pass on the teacup now because I'm going to cut this out. There's no glue on this, so there's no glue on the white. So I'm essentially getting 2 teacups at the same time. And then I'm just going to tape it down because this is where I want it. I'm going to send it through my die cutter and I'll be right back. Okay, oops, I'm sorry, I wiggled the camera. So I'm back. Before you take the die off, although it wouldn't be a disaster if you did, just check around the back and make sure. A lot of times it'll just be sitting there, but you can see the cut lines all around. So I end up with a white one. And I'll show you a trick with how you can put something on there. And then I'm going to untape the teacup here, which means when I make a card, and I love to do multiples, as I say every time, never make one. I'll put this away on my magnet so I don't lose it. But now I have a teacup that I can use on something else, which is really cool. All right, so I decided because this was a little bit busy, I was going to use this teacup. And this time, unlike some of the samples, I wanted to put just some little greenery growing out of it, if you will. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to make the string hold a tie. And although I could make a tag, it's starting to get a little bit busy with all of this being open. And the thank you is a little bit big for this tag. So what I'm going to do is, rather than stamp the thank you, I'm just going to take a black marker, which I always have right here. For some reason I cannot find it in my mess of equipment here. And I'm just going to write thank you. Doesn't have to be fancy. Your handwriting does not have to be perfect. It's a homemade card, and so this is just awesome. Okay, so just to finish up the card quickly, and then we can move on to my techniques on how I did all of this. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of the teacup. I'm getting my words mixed up today. Again, it doesn't have to be a whole bunch. I am going to do it on the thank you tag as well. To get this to stick to here, I'm going to use a glue dot. Now, I just put a little strip of ribbon, and that's to hold this so it doesn't like completely unroll. And FYI, if you got glue dots that are on this instead of on here, just re-roll the roll because it's just not convenient. Apparently they had a batch that went through that way, and it's not defective. It's annoying, but it's not defective. So they just recommend that you re-roll it. So I have a little glue dot stuck there, and I'm just going to lay it down here. It's not a stressed thing, so it doesn't have to be very strong, if you will. And then I'm going to do one more and put it on the end of this one. Again, I just stick it in the glue dot. Sometimes I have to lift it up more than once before I get it to actually come off. And I'm going to put that on the inside of the tag. So before I put it down, I'm going to take off the dimensionals. You could also stick it under the dimensional. That requires pre-planning, and that doesn't always happen with me. Oops. There we go. Keep that out. I know that there's going to be a ribbon around it, so I'm mindful of that. I think I do want it off here though, because she wants to put a ribbon and put her tag on there. So I think I'm just gonna put it right here, because it'll look like it's on both of the teacups, the one I cut out and the one that's punched through. These things I find even outside of my garage. It's interesting. So fun. All right, so that's there. And then I wanted to put a little bit of greenery on it. I'm just gonna put a very thin, oops, get some mess there. A thin strip along the very bottom. I still have a piece of glue on my thumb. Go away. And then I'm just gonna slide that underneath here. Oop. And that's straight down on the bottom, and I'm not popping it up. Actually, I might even, because it's so loose, I might take a little piece of glue and stick that there. And a little glue here, and stick that down. It's okay to have different, oops, hard to do upside down. I should have done this before, hang on. It's okay to have something high and then stick down the edges to make that part low. It doesn't come apart later on or anything. Okay, so now we're gonna just put it all together. I'm gonna flip it over. Oops, no, I'm not, I lied. I'm going to run a little bit of glue along the very small edge. And I'm not filling up the whole thing, because this is gonna rest about 1/8 of an inch. Again, there's not a lot of pressure. So really I'm just putting a little bit of glue right along the edge. You could use different types of adhesives. Like for example, you could use, and actually I don't want that all the way up there. You could use tear and tape. You could use, this is not quite straight. I like using the glue, because the glue is, monoadhesive glue is very flexible. It's very strong. It holds boxes together and all kinds of things. And you can move it after you put something down in case you got it in the wrong spot. And then I'm just checking on the back to make sure. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this either. We used to a long time ago, but you can get these anywhere on Amazon as well. It's just a glue eraser. So if any of the glue did escape and needs to be removed, although, you know, it's the inside of the package, it's not going to show, but I don't want it to stick to anything either. All right, so now that we've got that, we're going to take the bottom, the side first, the big long side, then the bottom, and we're going to put glue, again, not on the very edge, but maybe halfway. Doesn't need a lot. And then not quite all the way to the bottom there as well. I left a good 1/4 of an inch. Hold it down, pull it over, and lay it flat. Now I know she's going to be putting something in here that will create a thickness. So if you wanted to, you could, rather than lay it flat, you could actually scoot it over a little bit to give it a little bit more of a pocket. But it's not necessary. Both of these things do fit right inside there. Then I'm going to add some ribbon. Now again, she would be putting her label on it, but you could actually put another sentiment on a tag and have it run down that way. I'm going to use my third hand. I always make the bow off the ribbon, because you save a lot of ribbon that way. And then after I tie this, I will show you the tips and tricks that I have. I'll just lay that in there. It's reverse pinches. I can't remember what they call them specifically, technically, but it'll hold stuff while you're trying to maneuver things. Oh, it's going to be too big. All right, so then you can take it off. Oh, it just let go. I love tying ribbons when people are watching. Seriously, I'm usually much better at this. Okay, hang on. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again, and I'm going to pretend you're not here. So I'm not all thumbs, because that's terrible. I didn't pull it tight enough when I made the bow, and that's why it came off. There are all kinds of ways to make bows. You can make bunny ear bows. They look the same when you're done. This is what I did not do. Need to pull and get rid of this. And then you can adjust your little ribbon. I don't want the bow to be too big, just because it's pretty busy. Make it a little smaller than I actually want, and then pull it tight again. A little bit smaller, and then cut. Now she would thread her her label. Sometimes you can just rotate the whole thing and it'll stay. And if your bow's not staying where you really want it to, it's really annoying you, you can always stick a glue dot on the back of it and press it down, and then it's forced to stay. But that works there. So there's the project. So we're all finished with that. I'm gonna lay that aside, put my ribbon away, and show you a few tricks. The first trick I'm gonna show you is using the Stamparatus. Again, I always do multiples. So the first thing I did, the very first thing I did, was cut out this piece, which is the decorations of the leaves that are in there. So I cut that out. Then I'll take it off so you can believe me when I do it. Then I just make sure it's up in the corner, stuck real good. Then I just put it inside and I wiggle it until you can tell when it's in there. Then you close it, and then you just take ink. You cut a bunch of these out. This is your template, which stays in my case, but you can cut as many of these as you want. Stick the template in there. It fits, the little cutout piece right back in the template. Then when you ink, it's stamped down. It's perfect. It's perfect every single time. And you're not sitting there trying to adjust it for every one of these that you want to do. If I had, taken this and then I took the part that I have to lay this down on here and, get it in the right place, then I'd have to do the stamping individually each time. It would take way longer. So once you have the template, it's really quick, and it doesn't take any time to make the template because you have to cut one out anyway. And also, if you don't stamp it quite right, you can always go back and stamp it again. So that's that trick. Close that up. And you can do the same thing. As you can see, I always have two stamps here. I don't know where my template is for my cupcake, but all of those cupcake, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking. When you do the teacup, remember you're getting all of these white teacups. So if you have a template, make one. Then you just put this inside the template, which is here, not here, you have to imagine. Put it in the template, close the lid, then start putting these inside the template, ink and stamp, and it'll be right every single time. It is really awesome. All right, so I'm gonna move this over, and how to put Velcro on something if you are trying to make, this is not gonna work, but I'll show you how to do it because it's not the right size, but that's okay. I will just show you how to either put magnets. I just need something stuck here, and I can use this for scraps later. It's the wrong size. I was practicing with different things. But essentially, when you have a front and a back of something, make that stick better, this is how you either put on Velcro or a magnet. Now, these are two magnets. They stick together. They're just like the magnets in the Stamparatus, only smaller. You can get these on Amazon. These are called earth magnets. So they're very, very strong. But essentially what you do is open one side So when we get these, you have all of the loops on one side and the hooks on the other. I immediately marry them so that it's 1 and 1, and then I can just cut off one at a time, and I have everything I need. It doesn't matter which side goes on which one, but for example, I would lay this down. I would tear off so that the adhesive is exposed, and then I would do this. And there you have it. Now with magnets, you can put these on with glue dots. I'll show you because there's a polarity issue with magnets that you have to be aware of. I just put a glue dot on the back of the magnet. I'm doing essentially the same thing, only in this case, I don't want the magnet to show, so I'm gonna hang on to it, put it inside, and let it drop down so it's right there. And then you take the other magnet, and before you put the glue dot on it, you drop it. Then you know that you've got the polarity right, because if you don't, when you close it, they will reject each other. And it's really sad. I hate being rejected. Same thing though, you pull it down, oops, you pull it down. I had to do both. And the magnet's still in there, and that's how they close. So that's a tip and a trick that you can take with you. If you have any questions, you can email me. Again, my email address is jandufor@yahoo.com. My website is stampmesilly.com. And if you don't have a demonstrator and you want to order something, or you would like a new catalog, email me with your full mailing address or shop online at jandufor.stampinup.net. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Bye.